Hi there, Michael from Break a Pencil here. Let me ask you a quick question. When you need to make a strategic decision as a product manager, where's the information that you need? Exactly. It's all over the place. You've got meeting notes from Tuesday, a Slack thread from yesterday, you've got some competitive research from last month. God knows you've got some customer feedback document buried somewhere. It's probably called final, V3 final, actual final, one of those kind of things. And so what most product managers do is they read each one of those sources of information individually. Try to hold all that information in your head, manually connect dots. And by the time you're done with all that, and that's just the synthesis work, you've expended a lot of mental energy and time, and you haven't even gotten to the important bit, which is the strategic thinking about how are you going to deal with all this stuff and what decisions are you going to make. So I'm going to show you something different today. AI synthesis. We're going to take just a few minutes, multiple strategic outputs. Let's dive into it. So let me give you the setup, the scenario. I'm deciding between whether I need to build an in-app notification center or I need to fix our performance infrastructure, both for the same product that I manage. And as is typical, information is scattered everywhere. Like where? Here's source number one. I've got meeting notes from a sync with customer success and sales. I've got a Slack thread in our product discuss channel, right? That's engineering and sales debating priorities. I've got competitive research about other competitors and what their features and what they've built. I've got customer feedback, but importantly, it's separated by segments, right? Our enterprise segment, only 18% of our customers, but 2/3 of our revenue. And our SMB segment, 82% of our customers, but only 1/3 of the revenue. And then I've got an email from my VP basically telling me we've got resource constraints and we're over budget, and so I can only do one of these two things in Q4. So I've got 5 sources. They're all saying different things. They're conflicting. And the traditional approach, like I said, I read all of this, I take notes, I try to synthesize, and I've spent probably 30 to 60 minutes, and I've just done the synthesis. New approach, I'm going to feed it all to AI with the right prompts. And let's go see what happens. So let's start with the first prompt, strategic synthesis. So let me go and drop this prompt in here. I'm evaluating whether to build an in-app notification center. What am I asking for? I'm asking for what's the core problem, what's driving urgency, what are the key trade-offs, what's the strategic recommendation. I'm asking it to call out contradictions or gaps in the information. And then let me just go ahead and grab that document. All right, let's go see what it does. So I'm not getting just summaries of each source. I've specifically asked for a synthesis across sources, right? I want to find patterns. I want to see where there's contradictions. I want to see these 5 different perspectives and try to fit them all together in some way. All right, let's see what it found. Core problem. You're solving 2 different problems for 2 different customer segments. This is fantastic. Enterprise is missing critical updates. They live in our app for 45 minutes a day. And SMB, they're in it and out of it just 2 to 3 times a week for 6 minutes, but the performance issues are really their issue. So we've got 2 issues for 2 different customer segments. What's great about this is that AI pointed out this conflict, right? This issue where small amount of our customers, large amount of our revenue want one thing, large amount of customers, small amount of revenue want another thing. I didn't have to waste the energy trying to find that insight. Now I can take my time and energy and think about how I want to approach this strategically. And look at this. AI again synthesized a contradiction. Marcus from sales is saying prospects don't ask about performance, but our data shows that performance is our #1 churn driver. Sales hears about missing features in the demos, but customers leave silently over poor experience. Again, I don't waste my cognitive cycles finding that insight. I have AI do that for me. Now I spend my cognitive cycles trying to figure out a right solution for this. Okay. Critical gap in the data. What's the long-term value and retention rate of enterprise versus SMB? Awesome. So now this is a really important data point that I can go try and chase and track down and try to come up with. Again, I'll spend my energy on the things that AI is going to struggle with and let AI do the things it's really good at. Okay. So again, just to make this point very clear, AI found the contradictions, it surfaced the customer segmentation, it identified this tension between stated preferences and revealed preferences, and lets me spend my cognitive capacity on actual strategic questions. AI gave me the synthesis on the contradictions. I need to resolve them. That's a smart and effective division of labor. So now let's take this a step further and let's look at risk assessment. So I have another prompt, and I'm going to go ahead and drop this one in here. And remember now, AI already has all of the context of the 5 source documents, plus it has this context of the strategic synthesis it's already done. And I'm looking for things like what could go wrong if we do notifications? What could go wrong if we do the performance work and don't do the notifications, right? What's the biggest unknown? What mitigation strategies would you suggest? So I'm asking it to kind of come up with some thinking and give me some ideas, but then ultimately I'm going to make the decisions. So let's go and see what it does. Risk scenario A, build a notification center for performance. What's the risk here, right? Ooh, SMB segment collapse. Accelerating a performance death spiral. This is pretty dramatic stuff. Probability high, impact severe. Okay. Fix the performance, defer notifications. We're going to have some demoralization around the sales team. Enterprise customer attrition. Medium to high probability, impact significant. So biggest unknowns. This is great information as it's coming up with this. Okay, so let's sort of see what it ends up with. Here we go. Bottom line, highest risk scenario, safest mitigation, key questions to answer before deciding, right? What's your actual enterprise churn rate, and can Acme Corp wait 90 days? So again, really specific things I can go and do work on. And it did all of the heavy lifting of that synthesis bit, right? But I get to save my energy and time for the important part. All right, let's just do this one more time. And let's just look at implementation. So here I'm going to do one last prompt. And again, it has all the context of those 5 source documents, plus the strategy synthesis and the risk assessment. We're going to ask for an implementation approach. How do we break down the work? What quick wins can we deliver? How do we manage the risk? And what should we communicate to stakeholders? Be opinionated about what matters most. You can derail enterprise revenue loss while doing performance work. Let me show you how. So it's giving an actual approach, recommended a strategy, if you will, that I get to look at and see if it's going to work or not. Critical, managing the not doing notifications risk, enterprise deal preservation strategy, right? So this is kind of the way we can go to them, right? Here, call the executive sponsor. I want to be transparent. We're not shipping in Q4 because of the infrastructure, right? Here's what we're offering you, okay? Again, the real work of kind of coming up with these ideas and looking at all these different data sources and trying to stitch it all together, we let AI do that. Now I get to sit back and do the important work of really kind of trying to figure out which decisions are the right ones and how to approach this and how to take all this information in and make the right decisions. So we spent 5-7 minutes and with the same 5 sources, and we've got 3 rich sets of outputs: strategic synthesis, risk assessment, and an implementation approach, all from the same raw information. But ultimately, what really matters is that when you read those sources on your own and try to connect the dots in your head, you're burning time and cognitive capacity. Just information processing. It's important, it's necessary, but it's not strategic. So let AI do that. What is strategic is evaluating the synthesis, challenging the logic, making trade-offs, creative problem solving. So most product managers today I see are still doing that manual synthesis, which leaves them with not much time or cognitive capacity to do the important strategic work. And they want to be more strategic. They want to be looked at as more strategic. So what I'm telling you is use AI for the synthesis and then lean into the strategic bit you yourself with your experience, your institutional knowledge, your product sense, and your talent. Your assignment, what I want all of you to do this next week, take your next strategic decision where information's scattered all over the place in that Dilbert madness of information fragmentation that we all live in, and run it through some synthesis prompts. Don't just look at what AI returns. Ask yourself, what cognitive work did AI do for me? And what strategic thinking can I now do that I wouldn't have had the capacity for before? Use AI for synthesis, save your brain for strategy. Everything you need, the prompts, the 5 source documents, are all linked in the description below. Copy them, adapt them to your decisions. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to be notified every time I release one of these new videos. See you next Saturday, and once again, as always, break a pencil.